Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. I'm Yvonne. How's it going? Listen, I want to make sure to start this the way we always do. I want to ask you, how are you doing? How are you faring? How are things going? I always want to throw that out there because we're all struggling with something, right? We all have challenges somewhere. And we forget to look at ourselves and go, I'm going to be okay. But sometimes we forget to say to another person, how are you doing? So I just always want to be respectful for anything that you have going on and just ask that question. Just let you know somebody out there in the great beyond cares and is thinking about you and wishing for your success. Okay. And if you want to join this community, we'll talk about it later. Don't even worry about it right now. Just enjoy this episode. And if you want to join us, we'll let you know at the end. Okay. So, how's it going with me? Pretty well. I have no complaints at the moment, no challenges I haven't already shared with you. I'm doing the best I can, paying down my student loans, and as I like to say, it is kind of what it is right now, and just one foot in front of the other to get to the other side. So, just working on that. And if you will recall, our last show, I was telling you about food that was being made during the Great Depression, right, in the 1930s in this country, and just the things people did to stretch a dollar as much as they possibly could. And it just seemed like it was something we needed to revisit, in today's economy. So I was telling you the things that I had found, food that people made in the 1930s, meatloaf being one of them. And at the end of that show, I kind of got hungry. What I did was is I looked in the fridge and we had a pound and a half of ground beef. And my husband at first says, "Oh, you could make some chili." I'm like, "No, I don't really want to make chili because I'm going to be doing that in a few weeks for a party." And so, well, what else can we do with it? And one of the things we mentioned was meatloaf, right? So, I asked all of you if anybody else made meatloaf with bread of some sort and an egg. And so I went online and I go, okay, are there some new varieties I might try that are just as easy? Because you know me, it's got to be quick and dirty. It's got to be good, but it also has to be quick, and I can't be spending a whole lot of time making stuff. It's not my thing. And for those of you who are just fantastic cooks, I love you, and I love even more coming to your house to eat. But when I'm cooking, just okay, good food, quick. So I went online, and that's essentially what I said: quick meatloaf, just to see what would pop up, right? So there was this recipe, and it had a couple of things that I hadn't tried before, but it's like, let's give this a shot. And I'll just tell you. So the meat, I had a pound and a half of ground beef, breadcrumbs. So I had those for, I can't even remember what kind of a recipe. And it's like I put, and I wasn't measuring. Okay, I kind of remember what the recipe had when I was looking at it. I was like, nah. So I'm just kind of dumping the breadcrumbs in, some, not a whole lot, but some. And there was one egg in it. And here was something I had never tried before, is milk, putting some milk in it. It's like, well, that sounds interesting. Let's give it a shot. And then some salt and pepper. I'm pretty sure it told me how much to put in, but I'm like, whatever. Till I liked what it looked like. And then finally, the recipe said a whole onion. Well, I'm like, at half that onion, I go, good enough. It got all in the meat, and that was fine. And then the other thing was the sauce. I had never done this before. So the recipe said a third of a cup of ketchup, and it had 2 tablespoons of mustard, just stuff you got in the fridge, mustard, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. was the sauce. So I'm, mixing it all up. And once it was all mixed, I spread it over the top of the meatloaf. And you bake it at 350 degrees for 1 hour. And oh my goodness, as it was nearing completion, my husband goes, "What is that smell? That smells so good." Yes, right? So we made that meatloaf, and I had, what I tend to do is buy a 10-pound bag of potatoes and cut them up, and I will make mashed potatoes out of a good chunk of them. And what I will do is freeze the leftovers so I have it for different meals, because it's cheap, it's easy, and it tastes really, really good, right? So I took out some of the mashed potatoes that I had made previously, about a month prior. So we had that, and I just steamed some broccoli. It was one of the best meals and inexpensive. Okay, we had a portion of that meatloaf for dinner. Then there were sandwiches after, and we still have less than half of that loaf left. So just making things, we can get multiple meals out of it. That is the main thing, right? You want to make your dollars stretch as far as you possibly can. And one of my subscribers, she wrote to me, and I never thought about this because, again, I'm not that great cook, but I can put some stuff together. She said what she tends to do is look for the cuts of meat that you use to make ground beef. And she's got a food processor, which I do not have one of those. But she said she grinds it up, and she found that it was cheaper for her to do that and then freeze some things than it was to go to the grocery store and get, that tube of ground beef. And, I thought about it. I go, what a great idea. And one thing to remember, and we forget because today it's all about convenience, but that convenience costs money. And sometimes with just a little bit of planning, you can do it for less money. So just keep that all in mind. Just kind of think about it. And then, the other thing I did was I had gotten one of those $5 chickens from one of those stores where you have a membership to get in. And so I bought one of those chickens, had a couple meals off that. Then I boiled the chicken down. I don't know, it takes about an hour. I let the pot cool and then pull the meat off. And then I froze it. So I had 2 bags of chicken. So that will make other meals. And you just really have to think, what can I buy where I can have something else to create from this? And it takes a little bit of planning, and I will give you that. But I get off from work and just go right straight to it, because quick and dirty, that's how I make my stuff. And I can do it. And just some thoughts for you. You can do it too. A little bit of planning, sure, but it can be done. So just kind of think about that. What you can do to stretch those dollars. The grocery stores, I don't know if behind closed doors are like, jack up the price. They'll pay it because it's groceries and we all need to eat. Well, yeah, we all do need to eat, but we can all make smarter choices. And I don't have to go along with what billionaires in ivory towers are saying and doing. I can make my own way, and you can too. Just something to think about, just kind of throwing that out there. Okay? Now, we're going to go back to our books for kids, because what have we decided? We don't care that these books are for kids because we can learn something from them too. Okay? So, I'm going back to Money Matters for Teens workbook. Love it. Teach the kids young, teach the kids early, and adults can learn something from it too. So, in previous episodes, I talked about nerdwallet.com, where you go online and you kind of figure out if I put this much away, like let's just say $50 every paycheck for the next 40 years, what would I have and I think you determine you give it the interest rate parameters. I can't remember exactly what it was, but you kind of work to figure out what that money would be worth in 40 years, right? And so that is one way to do it. What I noticed was in the book, there's something that kind of walks kids through compounding interest, and I just loved it. So just kind of talking about, if you put away $600 a year, and what's that, $50 a month? Okay, math was not my strong suit. I can make do, but sometimes I have to think about it. So $50 a month for 12 months, $600, and just what compounding interest looks like they just made up 10%. And the reason why I was looking at this, because I've said over and over again that the earlier you start, the more you can expect to have at the end. Those of us who waited longer to start saving for retirement, we're not going to have as much. That's how it goes. But just letting all of you know, in your younger years, the earlier start, the better. So that's $600, 10% earned $60, 10%. And leave it alone. Now it's compounding. Starts at $660 plus $600. What's that? Then, it went through for 10 years. So people get a sense of what this can net them. And that having information, I didn't know any of this when I was a kid. Wish that I had, but excuse me, you work with what you've got. You can't look at life saying I woulda, coulda, shoulda. You can't. Now is the time that you are working with, preparing for the next stage in life. So just some things to think about. Get started. Doesn't matter where you start, it is where you finish. So keep at it. And I'm hoping that by now that you've gone to your HR department and asked about a retirement plan, the retirement savings, I should say. Whether it be 401k, 403b, whichever you have access to in your workplace, that you are doing something. And one of the things when you do that, it will ask you, okay, so how do you want to allocate this money? And for me, I keep an eye on it, but I also look at, going into the funds based on my retirement year. So it helps you to gain, but it's also conservative. And, depending on your age, depending on where you are when you start, are you risk averse? Maybe. Whatever your situation is, get started. Okay, that's the main thing. That's the main thing I just want to throw out to all of you, is to get started. Doesn't matter how much you have, and don't worry about everybody else, because they may have more than you, and that's all right. Good for them. But you are doing what you can to take care of yourself, and that is the main thing, right? Take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your future. All right. And with that, we are nearing the end. Now, remember when I said at the beginning, if you like these videos, want to become a part of the community, you see where it says subscribe? Just click that and become a part of this. And just know, I will never come to you and say, pay up. You need to pay for this content. No, I do this because I wished that I had something like this available to me when I was younger. I didn't. And so I'm doing this. I'm sharing. I want to share with you what I know, and I want to hear from you. I love it when subscribers write back something that they've tried, something that works for them, something maybe I didn't think about. So that's why I do this. I want to share, but I want you to share as well. It could be a thumbs up. It could be, a note. Doesn't matter. Would just love to hear from you. And so when you become a subscriber, when I record these and publish them, they'll come right in your email box. And you can watch them. You can forward them to other people as well. So, we just want to help everybody coming along, take care of themselves, and just have a decent retirement. You know, we all are deserving of that, and we just have to take some steps, concrete steps, to move in that direction. Okay? So, with that, I thank you so much for joining me once again for Get Your Money Right with Yvonne. Until next time, alrighty? Bye bye.